If you're over 65, listen closely. In 2026, some states may roll out updated driving renewal requirements that could lead to a $200 fee if you miss a step, and a lot of people won't even realize it until it becomes a problem. Let me begin by saying this. I know many of you watching this have been driving for 40, 50, even 60 years. You know these roads. You know your neighborhood. You've driven through snowstorms, through rush hour, and on long road trips across state lines. For a lot of seniors, driving is not just transportation, it's independence, it's freedom. It's the ability to get to your doctor's appointment on your own, to pick up your grandkids from school, or to drive to church on Sunday morning without asking anyone for a favor. And that independence is valuable. Nobody wants to take that away from you. But here's what is happening right now in 2026. Some lawmakers and transportation departments are updating renewal rules for older drivers. And if you're not paying attention, you could get caught off guard. So let me explain this from the beginning, because I want you to truly understand what may be changing and why it matters. Welcome back to Senior Insider Report, where we help seniors stay informed about the rules, changes, and updates that can affect everyday life in retirement. For years, really for decades, there has been a national conversation about senior driver safety. Now, I want to be very clear here. This is not about saying older drivers are bad drivers. In fact, the data often shows that seniors are among the most careful drivers on the road. They buckle up, they avoid risky behavior, they follow the rules. But the data also shows that as we age, certain things in the body can change in ways that affect driving. Vision may change, reaction time may slow a little, medications can have side effects, and cognitive processing can shift over time. Because of that, transportation officials have been working for years on a framework to address those issues. In 2026, some of those changes may start being enforced more consistently, with penalties attached in certain places. Here is what a lot of people do not realize. This is not just one rule in one state. It is a broader push happening at both the state and federal level, and drivers over 65 are the group most likely to feel it first. Some states already had parts of this in place, but they were not always enforced very strictly. Now, with newer transportation guidelines being discussed and adopted in different places, states are being pushed to comply. And compliance can mean fines, license restrictions, and mandatory testing requirements that many drivers did not have to deal with before. The $200 figure I mentioned at the beginning is the baseline fee in many places for missing those required steps. In some states, the amount can be higher. We are talking about $250, even $300, depending on where you live. So let us talk about what this new rule actually means, because I want to explain it in plain English. The core of the updated requirement is something often described as a senior driver renewal mandate. That may sound complicated, but here is what it means in everyday language. If you are 65 or older and your driver's license comes up for renewal, or in some states, even before your renewal date, you may now be asked to complete an in-person vision test, a brief cognitive screening, and in certain states, an actual behind-the-wheel evaluation. Not just a paper renewal, not just mailing in a form, an in-person visit. And if you miss the notice, if you do not show up, or if you do not complete the required steps within the time they give you, your license can be flagged, restricted, delayed, or suspended. And you can be fined up to $200 in some places for driving before your renewal is fully processed. Stay with me, because I know that sounds overwhelming. Let me break it down even more so it makes sense. There are basically 3 parts to this requirement, and each one matters. The first part is the vision test. In some states, this has existed before, but it was optional or could be skipped if you renewed online. Under the updated approach, vision testing for drivers 65 and over is no longer optional in many places. You may have to go in person and pass a basic vision screening. And this is where people are getting caught. If you normally renew by mail or online, you might not even realize that the rules have changed. You may just do what you have always done, mail in the renewal, and assume everything is fine. But your state's motor vehicle system may now mark your file as incomplete because you did not come in for the vision test. That mark is what can trigger the fee. The second part of the updated requirement is the cognitive screening. Now I want to be careful with this word, because I know cognitive can sound scary or even insulting to some people. Nobody wants to feel like their mind is being tested. Nobody wants to feel judged. But what this screening usually is, in many cases, is not a complicated exam. It is not a long memory test that takes an hour. In most places, it is a short set of questions similar to what your doctor might ask at an annual checkup. Things like the date, a simple pattern recognition task, or a brief reaction exercise. It may take about 10 minutes. The goal is not to embarrass anyone or take licenses away for no reason. The goal, at least in theory, is to identify cases where someone's ability to drive may truly be affected and to catch that before something serious happens on the road. But here is the real-world problem, and this is the part I really want you to hear. The notices states are sending out about these requirements are confusing. They are often written in bureaucratic language. They are arriving in the mail inside envelopes that look like junk mail. Some are being sent to old addresses because people moved and never updated their DMV records. And some seniors are simply not seeing them at all. Then they go to renew their license the way they always have, or they miss the deadline because they did not realize the new rules required them to come in sooner, and suddenly they are driving on a flagged or expired license, and the fine arrives before they even know what happened. Let us step back for a second and talk about who exactly is affected, because it is not the same for every person. If you are 65 to 69 in many states, you may now be in what some call the first tier of the process. That means your next renewal could require an in-person vision test and, depending on the state, possibly a short cognitive check. If you are 70 to 74, you may fall into a second tier, which can mean more frequent renewal intervals. Instead of renewing every 4 or 6 years like many adults, you could be required to renew every 2 years. And if you are 75 and older, some states may place you in the highest scrutiny tier, which can include mandatory behind-the-wheel evaluations, required medical clearance letters from your physician, and in a few places, a review of your driving record going back several years. Now here is something else a lot of people do not realize. The behind-the-wheel evaluation is the part that worries people most. And honestly, I understand why. But let me give you a realistic picture of what it usually involves, because it is not as intimidating as it sounds. In many states, the evaluation for seniors is not the same as a teenager's first driving test. It is usually a shorter drive in a local area, maybe 15 to 20 minutes, with a licensed evaluator in the car who is trained to assess older drivers with respect and sensitivity. They are not looking for a reason to fail you. They are looking to see that you can handle basic road situations safely. Most seniors who complete the evaluation pass it. But you do have to show up. You do have to schedule it. And if you do not, that is when the problems begin. Let me give you a real-life example of how this can play out, because I think it makes everything easier to understand when you see it through someone else's story. Imagine you are a 72-year-old woman living in a state like Ohio. You have had your license for 50 years. You drive yourself to church, to the grocery store, and to your granddaughter's school performances. Your license is up for renewal in April. You have always renewed online because it is easy and convenient. But this year, your state has updated its renewal process for older drivers. You get a letter in March, but it looks like ordinary DMV mail, so you set it aside and tell yourself you will deal with it later. April comes, you go online to renew like always, and the system tells you that you must complete an in-person appointment before your renewal can be finished. You do not see that message clearly. You think the renewal went through, and you keep driving. 6 weeks later, you are pulled over for a routine traffic stop, maybe for a broken taillight, nothing serious, and the officer runs your license and sees that it is marked as incomplete. Now you are looking at a fee. Not because you are a bad driver, not because you did anything dangerous, but because the process changed and you missed the notice. This is happening to real people in many places, and the frustrating part is how avoidable it can be if you know what to look for. So let us talk about what you should do, because that is the most important part of all this. The first thing I want you to do after watching this is find your most recent driver's license and check the expiration date. Write it down. Put it somewhere you will see it, because one of the biggest reasons seniors run into these fees is simply that they do not realize their license is close to renewal until it has already expired or been marked incomplete. Once you have the date, go to your state's DMV website or ask a family member to help if navigating websites is difficult. Look specifically for any notices, alerts, or requirements attached to your license record. Many states now have an online portal where you can log in and see the status of your license, whether extra steps are required, and what those steps are. The second thing I want you to do is call your local DMV office directly. I know, calling the DMV is nobody's favorite activity. But here is the thing. If you call and ask, "I am over 65 and my license is coming up for renewal. Are there any new requirements I need to complete?" They will tell you. They will walk you through it. And spending 20 minutes on the phone now is a lot better than paying a $200 fee later. When you call, ask about the vision test. Ask about the cognitive screening. Ask whether your age group requires an in-person evaluation. And ask about the timeline, because in many places you may need to complete these steps 30 to 60 days before your renewal date, not on the day of renewal itself. The third thing, and this one matters a lot for anyone who has a loved one over 65, is to talk to the seniors in your life about this. Not in a way that sounds like you are questioning their ability. Not in a way that sounds like you want to take their keys away. Just a gentle, caring heads up. "Hey, did you hear about this update? Let me help you figure out whether it affects you. Let me check your license date with you. I will sit with you while you make the call." That kind of support can make a huge difference, because a lot of seniors feel embarrassed or overwhelmed by new government systems, and having someone beside them takes a lot of the pressure off. And if you're finding this information helpful so far, make sure you subscribe to Senior Insider Report so you never miss important updates that could affect your license, benefits, or retirement security. Now, I also want to take a moment to talk about scams, because whenever there is a new government rule, especially one involving seniors and money, scammers come out of nowhere. They are already targeting older adults with fake messages about these types of updates. Here is what you need to watch for. You may get a phone call, a text message, or an email that looks official and claims to be from the DMV or from some kind of federal senior driver safety program. It may say you owe a fine immediately and must pay by phone or online using a gift card, wire transfer, or prepaid debit card. Let me say this as clearly as I can. That is a scam. The real DMV will not call you and demand immediate payment over the phone. The real DMV will not ask you to pay a fine using a gift card. Any legitimate fee will be communicated through official mail with a return address, a case number, and instructions for paying through official government channels. If you get a call like that, hang up. If you get an email like that, do not click any links. If someone shows up at your door claiming to be from a driver safety program and asks for money, do not hand them anything. Call your local police non-emergency line and report it. Here is the bigger picture, and I think it is worth saying before we wrap up. These kinds of rules are not likely to go away. In fact, many transportation policy experts expect that the senior driver renewal process will become stricter, not looser, as we move through 2026 and into 2027. Some states are already talking about legislation that could lower the age threshold, which means these requirements might eventually apply to drivers as young as 60. The official goal is road safety, and most people, if they are honest, understand that some level of screening makes sense. But the rollout has been rushed, the communication has been poor, and the burden is falling heavily on seniors who are already dealing with a complicated world. So the best thing you can do is stay ahead of it. Know the rules. Know your state's requirements. Know your timeline. And do not wait until the last minute. One more thing I want to mention. If you go through the process and find out that you do have a vision issue that needs attention, please do not panic. New glasses or a simple prescription change can make a huge difference. Many optometrists now offer fast DMV clearance appointments for seniors who need to resolve a vision issue quickly. And if the cognitive screening brings up questions, talk to your doctor. Not because it means something is terribly wrong, but because your doctor knows you, knows your health history, and can speak on your behalf if needed. In many places, a letter from your physician confirming that you are medically fit to drive may be enough to satisfy the requirement. Your doctor can be your ally in this process. The bottom line is this: you have earned your independence. You have earned the right to drive yourself where you need to go and to live life on your own terms without having to ask someone for a ride every time you need to go to the pharmacy. Protecting that independence in 2026 means being proactive. It means not ignoring that DMV letter. It means not assuming the old renewal process still applies to you. It means spending a few minutes now to make sure everything is in order so that nothing catches you off guard later. Do not let a $200 fee be the thing that disrupts your life this year, especially when it is often avoidable. Check your license expiration date today. Look up your state's specific requirements for older drivers. Call your DMV if you have any questions. And if you have a senior in your life who needs to hear this, please share this video with them right now. Show it to your mom, your dad, your grandparent, or your neighbor down the street who has been driving for 60 years and has no idea this might affect them. It costs nothing to share, and it could save them a lot of money and a lot of stress. Stay informed, stay ahead of the rules, and subscribe to Senior Insider Report for important updates that help seniors protect their independence, finances, and future.